I'm your hostess, senior editor here at MadameNoire, Keka, Araujo. And today we're speaking with a super amazing group of women to get their thoughts and feelings on how their mothers impacted their world for this Mother's Day edition. And I'd like to start out by saying to my own mother, Bendición, mami, I love you.
That's interesting because I think my mother's love was born from grief. I came after my brother passed away at 8 months. So I was always enveloped in this love, but it was also kind of like mixed in and tinged with a little bit of grief. But it was all encompassing, right? Like I had, she was everything to me. My mom was in the Caribbean when I was born, and I actually didn't get to live with my dad till I was 5. So she was the alpha and the omega. And so everything that had to do with love and care, I learned from her and came from her and from the village that she created for me.
So Lady Bird, as I call her affectionately, she had an extremely significant impact on me as a child that I think carries over till today. One thing I always felt as a child was I always felt first. She had a way to naturally make me feel like nothing else in the world mattered except what my needs were in the moment. And it could be something as diminutive as don't eat that last popsicle, that's baby girls. Or it could be something like her going to bat for me out in public, or her standing in, now that I'm an adult, her standing in for me when I needed her to do something significant or life-changing. So I always just felt first, no matter what she had going on in her life or today, she's there, present.
When I think about that, I think about this cartoon character that I used to watch when I was a young kid. He was strong, fearless, courageous. He was headstrong, some might say strong-willed. Of course, there wasn't anything that he couldn't do, handle, or whatnot. And when I think about that, I think about my mom. And so the character's name was Mighty Mouse. And of course, if there was a female version of that character, it would have been Mighty Mouser. Because she was petite in stature. She always championed the right thing, fearless, courageous. And one of the main things that she did was she led with love. And I embodied all of that. And I got all of that from her, the love and the mindset in terms of being strong-willed and courageous. And, some of those qualities are who make me what I am today.
I always saw her being really, really strong, and not in a strong way as she was a woman who walked in a room, she knew who she was confident, no was a complete sentence, and she didn't explain herself. And I know in the era that she grew up in that women didn't necessarily have the autonomy to do that, but just in seeing her walk in the world as a kid, it allowed me to be empowered as a woman. In a way that when I walk in a room, I own who I am. I'm proud of who I am. In a way that I don't ask permission to be or do whatever I want to do. That's one of the ways that her influence and impact has made me who I am today.
I would have to say on the weekends, my mom, Lady Bird, she would just play music in the house, specifically albums, and she'd dance and she'd sing around the house. And sometimes she'd even go in the bathroom, get dolled up, curl her hair, put on makeup, and she's not going anywhere, but she would go in the bathroom and get put together. Like Lady Bird was together. And I remember sitting outside the bathroom on the floor and just looking up at her and thinking, wow, my mom is so freaking beautiful. Like whatever the term was that kids said back in, the late 70s, early 80s. Like I remember sitting outside that bathroom door on the floor, legs crisscross applesauce, just glaring in like, look at this lady. She was beautiful. She could sing. She would get down and boogie in my face and dance and go back to the makeup and curling her hair and feathering it up. And she was just perfect. She was perfect.
Oh my God, my mom was so pretty. She was so pretty. Oh my goodness, I'm about to cry because just thinking about her getting ready for church on a Sunday morning and putting on her gorgeous dresses, and she was really tall and really thin, like model-esque. She was like a statue. And she had like this, she always colored her hair red, so she had like this fire engine red hair. And she was just pretty. And so she would get ready for church, and she always wore like these really dope hats. At some point she was wearing mostly tams, and she had a tam every color. And she had her heels, and every Sunday morning she would take us, insist that we go to Sunday school and church. And I always knew that it was time to go to church. She'd be the last one in the bathroom putting her makeup on. She didn't wear a lot of makeup, like she would wear maybe a little mascara and some lipstick and maybe a little rouge. And you knew when Lionel Richie or the Commodores, when Jesus is Love came on the radio, that it was almost time to go. And to this day, when I hear that song, I think of my mother.
My face. That's the first thing I will say. That's been a shock to me as I've gotten older. Like I scare myself sometimes when I look in the mirror. I'm like, what happened? Where did I go? And I think too, after she passed, when I was little, everyone would tell me that I looked like my dad. And so like it just never occurred to me that I was the spitting image of my mother. And it wasn't until she was no longer here that I really started seeing her face in mine. I think her faith and her spirituality, I definitely carry with me every day, and that kind of flourished back after she passed away as well. So I feel like that was like a little gift that she gave me as she transitioned. But that, my faith, and my hard-headedness, that can be good, right? My hard-headedness I get from my mom, I think.
This one is one of the most important ones that I still take heed to this day. All money ain't good money. And it's so funny because I learned this during learning how to play dominoes, right? So in dominoes, you have to be strategic, and if you won't get 15, you're gonna set your opponent up to get 25 the next time, so you might not want to get those points, right? And so in learning that all money ain't good money, I use that in different areas of my life, right? So the number one lesson that it's taught me is to not be bought. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're not standing on principle, if you're not standing on standards, if you're not leaning on something that you truly believe in, no matter how much it costs, the price is irrelevant. Like, stop allowing ourselves to be bought for small, minor things, which consist of money.
So my mom was a muse. So as much as she was empowered, she was very much a muse. And in the way that everything that she did, I wanted to emulate. You know how they ask women questions, who do you admire? And people are like, oh, Sally Ride or, Hillary Clinton or whoever. My mom was literally my muse. When it came to how she carried herself when she put her clothes on, the perfume she chose, how she styled her hair, how she spoke to people when she was in the company of friends. I literally imitate that in who I am. Surely with my own little swag, but literally my mom was my muse for me to learn from. Like, I wanted to learn everything from her.
There are so many words that I can use to describe her. Of course, love was the first one that came to mind. But when I think about her, even in all of her Mighty Mouse persona, she's still benevolent. And I think that would be the word that I would use to describe my mother: benevolent. Love first, and then benevolent.
Beautiful is the first one that comes to mind because she was just beautiful inside and out, right? Integrity is another one because she had a lot of that. Yeah. And spiritual because she loved her the Lord. Yeah.
Fiery. And not the fiery as in she's going to burn everything down, but fiery in the sense of a phoenix. Like, she had to burn things down within herself in order to become a better woman, to be a mother to us, right?
The first word that comes to mind is transcending. I think my mother and my grandmother both transcended their environments and the life that they probably should have had. And I feel like even on the other side, she's still transcending, right?
So if I could only choose one word, I would say irreplaceable. If I had an option to give more, I'd say she's strong, beautiful, smart, stylish, kind, until you give her a reason not to be kind to you. And all of those things, I think, when I think about the one word irreplaceable, I think she's, obviously impacted my life in so many ways, so many avenues that probably are direct and indirect. And I know I wouldn't be the person I am today without her.